Okay, so here we have the listing for the items I bought. It shows a price of $199. I sent him an offer that was $150 and he accepted it. So here he's included the 4 pictures of the 4 motherboards. And you know, I didn't really pay attention to too much except for how much chips were included. I wanted to make sure that there was at least one Agnes, fatter Agnes, which is the 8372, which is right there. So that's good. And you know, some of these, there's only one of these that has a processor. That's okay. I have extras. I'll probably have to wind up ordering some of the chips. I might have enough Denise. See, that one has Gary Paula, but it doesn't have a Denise or a processor or an Agnes. And we'll see if we can't do something about repairing these. If not, we can use them for parts. Hello again. A new package from eBay. Never would have thought unboxing videos would be popular, but otherwise I wouldn't show this kind of thing. Just roll the arms up there. Okay, gap filling. Like to see that. Not the best packing job in the world, but there's one A500 motherboard, supposedly not functioning. There is another A500 motherboard, supposedly not functioning. There is another A5 motherboard, supposedly not functioning. There is another A5 motherboard, A500 motherboard, supposedly not functioning. Some of the packaging used in this shipment are these priority mail padded flat rate envelopes. These are available for free from the United States Postal Service. All the priority mail packaging is free. However, I don't, you know, they're assuming that you're going to use this to give them money to ship your product. If you're just using these as like storage boxes or, you know, bubble wrap or whatever, you're kind of not using them for what they intended, and our postal service in the United States is not a huge money-making operation. I kind of feel it's a responsibility to use their products the way they were intended. It's just my personal opinion. So in order to keep these 4 A500 motherboards separate, they're all release 6 motherboards. A couple of them have the lighter color. Actually, this one's like brown, that one's green. Light green. These are like 2 dark greens. These might be the same color actually. They're slightly off. Anyway, so we're going to name them. My son and I figured out names. This one has the least amount of chips. I figured we'd call it Baron. Of course, we're going to spell it like a person's name. Then here's Billy for no particular reason. And then Steve, because everybody likes Steve. And Harry, because we found a lot of fluff. There's some fluff in there. Gee, I wonder if that's what's wrong with it. I would only be so lucky. So we're just going to do a cursory inspection of these boards. You know, take them out of the box, check them out. Nothing too detailed, nothing under magnification. This board looks like it's in okay shape. It's got a couple of discolored pins on the 68,000 CPU, a couple on Denise. It's got a ROM in it. It just popped out of the case a little bit. A couple little bent pieces of EMI shielding. But nothing really noteworthy on that one. That one we might just pop chips in and give it a test. Okay, so, and that was Baron. This is Billy, and Billy has, I don't think that's the original socket. So you wonder if they did a good job putting that in. On my A2000 video, I replaced one of these, and I didn't have any problems. However, if you look here, so this might be the problem. Got quite a bit of corrosion on the 68,000, a little bit on the ROM, and you know, possibly testing pins on the Agnes. So let's go on to Steve. Hi, Steve. Steve is similar to Baron in the fact that there's no fairly obvious issues. In fact, this one looks like it's in better shape than Baron. I don't see any discolored pins on the empty sockets. And everything looks original. Now this one is quite telling. This one is pretty easy to see a problem right off the bat. And this is why we don't use screwdrivers to take out Agnes. Hopefully that Agnes is actually still good. Anyway, that might be the only problem with this board. A little bit of discoloration here. You know, I'm going to go over each one of these boards under high magnification. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do each one of these boards in a separate video. Some of them might be short if all it was is just missing chips. I mean, you really don't know what's wrong with these. But you would assume that since chips are missing, they're robbed off of these, that there's something wrong. But it could be something very minor, you know. I mean, this isn't necessarily super minor as far as getting that socket out of there, but it's certainly quite obvious what's wrong. One of the problems with it anyway. So I'm wondering if I might want to start with Harry, just because I want to... Yeah, who knows? I'd want to start off with one that has the greatest chance of success to start me out on a positive. I think the next step I'm going to do is take off all the EMI shielding on all the boards. You got to remove all the standoffs, all of these standoffs in order to get the EMI shielding off. Oddly, this has a lock washer on it, and the one next to it has as well. Not sure what the point of that was. I've done enough of these to know that that's the first time I've ever seen that, and I don't think that's quite factory. Oh, you know what it probably is somebody was, well, oddly, most joysticks and mice don't screw into these posts, but maybe somebody had a couple and they kept... What's common is, obviously, as you might know, when you undo the connector, sometimes this guy comes out with it. Always have a little cup or Dixie cup ready to put all your screws in so they don't go rolling away. Alright. Hello, Steve. Nothing visible without magnification as far as damage is concerned. Okay, this is Baron, and Baron has some rust. Not just on the EMI shield, but on the connectors. So that's... Ugh, come on. And Baron has some metal that's bent over too. There we go. Now, Baron might have had a little bit of moisture on him. Video's okay, doesn't have anything on it. Not too bad, just that area. Have a look at the other side. A little bit of surface rust on the audio jacks. There's something discolored there that I might want to have a look at. Another thing I'm looking at are the pins, the expansion port pins. You know, the last one I worked on that I fixed actually had some corrosion there that was coming in, you know, from the battery that was on the expansion RAM. So anyway. And that is Harry, who indeed has some hairs, some fluffs. I see you're looking here and you're thinking, okay, maybe there's some discoloration, but it's really kind of just dirt, you know. Busted Agnes socket. Got some solder flux on the audio jacks. It's not super uncommon. It's over here too, next to, what is that, the serial or printer? One of the two. It's a female here, so I think that's what, a serial port. So that's just somebody not cleaning up after themselves. I don't see anybody replacing all that stuff. A little bit of discoloration on these traces, and that's probably just dirt, because you know, you normally have a source or a reason to have rust or corrosion, and if it was exposed to moisture, it wouldn't just be on a tiny little area like that. Anyway, so let's proceed on to Billy, the last one. So this one got water on it. This board got wet. Yeah, for sure. So life's not looking good for Billy. Yeah, there's discoloration, even corrosion on these chips. The solder pads, especially in this area, we've got green. Yeah, this board is looking pretty bad. Billy is not looking good. Yeah, this board was dunked. Here's something interesting. Copperhead Tech 174-8001. It's interesting. If anybody knows anything about that, it'd be interesting. I don't know if it's worth it for me to even try to fix this board. That's a capacitor that's all green on one side. I mean, who knows? Maybe I should just throw some CLR on here to just get rid of most of the corrosion and just power it up and see. I mean, yeah. I don't know if I'd try it before that. I'm always concerned about having partial shorts on a board like this. Yeah, it should be interesting to see if the 68,000 chip has got some pretty good corrosion on it. So yeah, I'm thinking, you know, I mean, it's a widespread damage. And it's actually not too bad in this area. But we've got green over here, green here. It's just kind of spread out all over the place. It's going to take a lot of work. Yeah, there's that right there. It's like a circular corrosion area that kind of matches up with the hole in the EMI shield. Yeah, wow, the back of this board is awful. I just don't know. I'm certainly going to save this one for the last, if I even do it at all. We'll have to see. So yeah, I'm going to pull out all the socketed chips on all these boards, give them a bit of a cleanup, and test them on a working Amiga, just to get rid of the bad chips. Put your palm against it. Push from the other side. There we go. Popped it free. Well, folks, much to my disappointment, I believe that's a missing pin on the end there. So this Agnes is probably trash. Okay, so I tested all of the, these are all of the chips from all the boards. Actually, this is the processors actually in the other one. But these are all the chips, and there's only 3 chips that wound up being bad. We got 2 ROM chips, and of course that Agnes, fatter Agnes 8372A. All of the other chips, all the CIAs, I think every board had CIAs in them. But anyway, there weren't any Denises to be found. But nicely, there was 3 Garys, and yeah, like I said, a bunch of CIAs, and all the ROMs seemed to be 1.3, all 4 of them. But anyway, but we definitely have a lack of chips to make these boards complete, and so we'll get started on the first board. I guess the potential horror story has been avoided as far as people buying junk boards on eBay that other people will just take all of their junk parts and populate the motherboard with all their junk non-working parts and then sell it. I mean, they're not lying when they say 4 parts doesn't work, but it's a bit disingenuous to put something on eBay giving people a slight hope that it might work to find out that all of the chips are bad, you know, and it's quite obvious what's been done, you know. But there are so many chips here. Most of the chips that came with these boards, other than a few exceptions, are fully functional, so I certainly didn't fall victim to that scam. By the way, the utility that I used to test chips, everybody seems to use the same one. It was previously known as SysTest. Now they're referring to it as Amiga Test Kit version 1.5. The bootable ADF that you get, you have to boot straight from it because it's a non-DOS disk. FYI, that one tripped me up for a few seconds anyway, a few minutes. And then I realized I probably need to boot off of it. It boots straight into the SysTest and allows you to... it also comes with an executable file that you could execute from within Workbench, but it's pretty convenient to just boot off the ADF. And using that, I was able to test all the mouse and all the joystick. The CIA tests are pretty good, pretty quick. So yeah, now we'll get started on our first board.